Here we are in Mathematics 2023-2024 test, level test number 3. All right, let's go through it. Number 1, how much more money is earned on a savings account of, so here's the principal value, here's the interest rate, annual interest, so 6% annual interest for 6 years. Here's the number of years right here. If compound interest, so we're going to compare compound interest with simple interest. So let's do simple interest first, because simple interest is you just take the P times the R times the T. Well, in this case, 6 years. Okay, so that is $5,500 times 0.06 times 6. Punch that into the calculator. 5,500 times 0.06 times 6 is 1980. So we get $1,980 in interest. Now, if we do the other one, the formula for compound interest is the principal times 1 plus R over N. And in this case, you'll notice compound interest is calculated monthly is what they've given us. So that's a 12. And then N times Y up here. So that would mean 72. So we would have 5,500 times 1 plus 0.06 over 12 raised to the 6 times 12 72nd power. And that would give us our total amount. Notice this can also go into the TVM solver, and I'm going to use that over there, a TVM solver in the calculator. Let's do that by going to Apps, Finance, TVM solver. Good. So the number of periods is 72, 6% interest. The principal value, we invested 5,500. And so that's why it's a negative. It's going away from us. We have no payment. The final value we're going to compute, and it's monthly. So alpha 7876. So 7876 something. What was the decimals on there? 0.24. Okay, so we use that, and we'll get the same thing if we punch that into the calculator. Let's go ahead and do that. Have that punched in, 72, and we get, look, the exact same number. So whether you use the TVM solver on the calculator or punch it into that formula, you get the same thing. But notice on this one, this is not the interest. We've got to subtract the 7876 and 2,500, which is 2376. 24. So this is the amount of interest because 5,500 was the principal. So we're comparing 1980 and 2376, which is, if we do those two, we get, what is that? 200, 396, 24. Boom, subtracting those two numbers. All right, the next one. What interest rate is necessary? Ooh, so this means R is the question mark for an investment to double in 11 years. Now, compounded monthly. Now, there is kind of a rule of 72 that you may be familiar with, but in this case, dividing by 11, these are really close. So we're going to have to use our TVM solver, and it's pretty cool because now we get to figure out kind of the power of what it is. So in this case, if we have, it's got to be 11 years, so that's 11 times 12. 132 months, and we are going to solve for the interest rate. And you could put any number here if you wanted, but since there's negative 5,500, we're going to have it double to 11,000. So if you put negative 100 and 200 here, it would be just fine. That's compounded monthly. Good. So now we alpha solve. And you'll notice it is a 6.317. So that's 6.32% interest rate to allow it to double. Each student at a university is given a unique personal ID code consisting of 2 letters. So that would normally be 26 letters out of the alphabet other than X, Y, and Z. So instead of saying 26 times 25, 2 letters, oh, wait a second. Whoa, back up. It doesn't say no repetition. So this would actually be 26 times 26. Except it said we can't use X, Y, and Z. So it's 23 letters options for the first one and 23 letter options for the second one. 23 times 23, let's pull that guy up. 23 times 23, and that's 529. Good. Number 4, a total of 14 students. Good. So we're dealing with 14 students there. And they're competing in the Akadeka event. In how many different sequences? This is arrangements or passwords. So this would be a permutation, but you're using all 14. So it's just 14 could take first place, 13 could take second place, 12 could take the next one, and so all the way down to 1. That's just 14 factorial. So let's pull this guy out. 14 math, go over to probability, down to factorial, enter, and we get, that's a lot. So this is 8, 7, blah, 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 and that had scientific notation on it. So it's this to the 10th power. So that's that with another 8 zeros behind. Oh, look, that's the only one that's big enough right there. Yeah, there are 87 billion, 178,291,000 different ways you can order 14 students in a row. Good. Number 5, 4 students must be chosen from a class of 30 students. Now, okay, so we're going to be in a permutation or a combination. Let's look to see what it is. How many different, oh, look, they even used the word for us. So it is 30, choose 4. So these are, notice it's a group here. That's what tells us that we're going to use that one. So in our calculator, we're going to do 30, choose 4. In the factorial, remember that's 30 factorial over 26 factorial. That's 30 times 27 times 28. 30 times 29 times 28 times 27. So we keep those 4, we get rid of the other ones, and then we also divide by the way those 4 can mess themselves up. But that's the shortcut, is just 30 math probability NCR 4. And it spits out 27,405 right there. Okay, next one, number 6. How many different ways can the letters in tallness be arranged? Notice this is orders or sequences. So this is, we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 factorial. That's how many different ways those 8 letters can be rearranged. However, notice the 2 L's are the same, and so they can rearrange themselves, and we can't tell what it is. So 2 factorial. Get rid of that, and the S's, 2 factorial. So we've got to do 8 factorial, math, factorial, oops, 8 factorial divided by 2 factorial times 2 factorial. Enter, we get 1080, which is that guy right there. Number 6 is D. Number 7, what is the probability of flipping 7 coins, or flipping one of the coins 7 times, and getting 4 heads and 3 tails? Now remember, the probability of a head is 1/2, and the probability of getting a tail is 1/2. So here are not 4, 1/2. 4 times in a row, that's 1/2 times 1/2, 4 times in a row. And then the probability of getting a tail 3 times in a row is that one. So this would be like heads, heads. Oops, let me do that. Heads, 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 tails, tails, tails. And then we've got to find out, so that's that way of getting 4 heads, but it could also be written this way, H, 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 tail, head, tail, tail. And so you realize how many different ways can you rearrange the heads and the tails, and you have to times that by this. So we need to take and times this by 7, choose 4, which is the same thing as it's like rearranging tallness. You have 7 factorial, then you have 4 H's that are all the same and 3 H's that are all the same, and that's combination. How many different ways can we choose to get 4 out of 7 heads? So let's punch this all in. We have 7 choose 4 times 1/2 to the 7th power. In a calculator, that's 7 math choose 4, and that is 35. So it's going to be 35 over 2 to the 7th power, which is 128. So that's 2 to the 4th times 2 cubed is 2 to the 7th. 35 over 128. The answer is B. Okay, number 8. What is the probability of rolling 3 6-sided dice and getting a sum of 14? So on the 3 dice, just so you know how many options we have 6 options here, 6 options here, 6 options here, times it up. There are 216 different options total. And so let's count up all the ways to add up to a 14. Can we do 1 plus something plus something? No. The best we could do is a 2, a 6, and a 6. That's one way. Or we could do a 1 and nope, not a 1, a 3 and a 5 and a 6, or a 3 and a 6 and a 5. Okay, then we can do well, and then, well, let me see, a 3, a 5, and a 6. This guy can rearrange itself 3 factorial ways. So I'm going to not write that one down, right? You can rearrange those 3 numbers differently like that. This one, you'll notice, would also represent a 6, a 2, and a 6, or a 6 and a 6 and a 2. So this guy represents 3 here, and that guy represents 6. We could also have a 4 and a 4 and a 6. And again, this one, you could rearrange them out, 4, 6, 4. So there are 3 different ways of doing that one with those 3 numbers. And then could we also do a 4 plus a 5 plus something? Oh, a 4, a 5, and a 5 would work. And so that we're going to take 3 of those, because it could be 4, 5, 5, 5, 4, 5, or 5, 5, 5, 4. Good. Then let me see if it's a, and we've already covered a 5, and we've already covered the 6s. So 3, 6, 9, and plus 6 is 15. So if we take 15 out of 216, 15 different ways of getting up to 14. So let's punch that into the calculator. 0.0694. So that's like 7.0%. So 8 is D. Excellent. Number 9. So we have, your class has a math quiz today. The quiz has 20 questions total. Each of the 20 multiple choice questions has 4 choices. That means, just really quick, the probability of getting it right is 1/4. And the probability of getting it wrong, is going to be important, is 3/4. However, a student who did not study will have to guess on every single, so that's random. If 14 out of 20 are correct as a passing score, what is the probability that the student will pass with an exact score of 14 out of 20? That's good. We've previously done where it says at least 33, or at least we have to do it. But here we're going to do the probability of getting 14 right, the exact probability. So we have to get it right. Oops, let's move the equal sign here. Get it right 14 times. And get it wrong the rest of the time, which is what, 6 of them? 6 of them. So that's getting it right 14 times and getting it wrong 6 times. But then we also have to realize that this could happen. We could get, 14 wrongs or 15 rights in a row, and then 6 wrongs. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It could look like that, or we could switch these 2 places, or we could switch those 2 places. And so we have to times this by how many different ways from 20 questions we could choose to get 14 right. So they all have the same probability, so we have to multiply that all up. So let's do that one. So we get 20 math combinations, 14, so that's the way we can choose 14 to get right, times 0.25 to the 14th power, times 0.75, that's 3/4, to the 6th power. Now, this is, let's write this out, 0.0000 2569. 0.00002569, blah, 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 blah. Notice that was scientific notation. All of these are in percents. So that means they moved the decimal 1, 2 places. So it's 0.002569, blah, 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 percent. Answer is A. Number 10, it's the circumference of a circle is 16 pi. Oh, this is nice. We have the circumference is 16 pi. Now, circumference is 2 times pi times the radius. So that means 16 pi equals 2 pi r. If we divide by 2 pi on both sides, we get the radius is 8. If the radius is 8, we now put it into the area formula of pi r squared. So we get pi times 8 squared, that's 64 times pi, which they left it in pi. Oh, marvelous. Number 11, what is the equation of the line tangent? So we are now doing calculus, and we're going to use a derivative. So y primed, oh, wait a second. We got to stick that in to see what it is. So first of all, when x is -3, we get 3 times the -3 cubed minus 2 times the -3 squared. So here we get -27 times 3 is a -81. Minus 2 times 9 is -8. That's -99. So -3, -99. Oh, yeah, -3, -99 is the point. Now, y primed, if we do the derivative here, we get 9x squared minus 4x. Remember, you drop it a power when you take the derivative. Stick in -3 here. We get 9 times -3 squared minus 4 times the -3. That's 9 times 9 is 81. Minus plus 12 is a 93. So the slope is 93. Now you could stop right here and say, oh, look, slope of 93, the answer must be B. But let's go through the end of the process. Y minus y1 equals m x minus, m is 93. Sorry about that. M is 93, x minus the x value. There we go. So that's a plus 3, that's a plus 99. Jump that in. We get y, let me see, 93x plus 279. And then subtract 99 from both sides, and you get y equals 93x plus 180. And that's where they got the 180. But yeah, you could have identified the slope correctly, and we're done. We wouldn't have even need to gotten the point. Okay, number 12. Which of the following is not an accurate definition or application, which means which one of these is not true. And here, you just plug them into the calculator, and when you hit D, you're going to get something like 3,000 squared plus 14,3, oh, 6, I went back to the wrong one there. Okay, so 3,000 squared plus 6,500 squared equals, and then you plug in 7,500 squared, and voila, they are not the same answer, which means that one is not the right one. And I can't see any shortcuts on how to do this. It looks like you just have to go through guess and check on those guys. Here we are with number 13. Which set below is a Pythagorean triple? Again, we're looking at a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And right here, just guess and check. And if you plug it into a calculator, on your guessing and checking, you will get that 4375 squared plus 7200 squared is indeed enter, and then you double check that with 8425 squared, and voila, same thing, answer's D. Number 14. What is the slope of the graph y equals x squared? So that's a parabola. So slope at a point, that is, we're doing calculus, and this is the derivative. Okay, so y primed equals, this exponent comes down in front, 2x, drop it a power, at the coordinates 3, 9, which means we're using x is 3. Let's write that out like this. So the x right there, that means x is 3. So we stick in 3, not the 9. Stick in 3 up here, 9 comes out as the y. Stick 3 in here, and y primed is 6. So that's the slope. M would be a 6 at that point. So E. Okay, number 15. What is the name of the convex polygon whose interior angles add up to 1080? Now, the formula for adding up interior angles is the sum is going to be 180 and minus 2. So we take 1080 divided by 180, And that's n minus 2. So punch that in the calculator. 1080 divided by 180. And we get 6. And so we then add 2. So n minus 2 is 6. So add 2 and we get 8. So 8 is octagon, B. Okay, and what is the radius? So we're looking for the radius of a sphere with a surface area. So we need the surface area for a sphere formula. That is, surface area is 4 pi r squared. Good to have that one memorized. Stick 64 pi over here, and we get 4 pi r squared. Divide off the pi's, divide by 4, and we get 16 equals r squared. So r must be, ba-da-boom, 16 is B. Okay, number 17, what is the midpoint? So we're going to average these of the line segment connecting these two things. So negative 41 and 183, maybe we'll be close enough to see what's happening here, but add these two together, that's about a 140, almost 2, divided by 2 is a 70. Oh, here we've got the 70s right here, so it could be one of those. Maybe I'm going to need my calculator. And then 16 plus a negative 5 is what? 11 something divided by 2 is a 5. So the only thing that we're going to get, I believe it's going to be D. Yeah, so you can punch this in the calculator, take this plus this divided by 2, and this plus this divided by 2, and you'll end up exactly right there and there. So, good. Number 18, what is the midpoint of the segment? Again, we're going to do the same thing. Average these two. 33 minus 3 all divided by 2, so that's 15 divided by 2 is, 30 divided by 2 is 15. Good. And then these two right here, negative 24 plus 43 over 2, so that's 19 divided by 2 is 9.5. And then 36 plus 53, that is 89 divided by 2 is 44.5. So it looks like that guy's the only one we got. E. Okay, number 19. The midpoint of this line segment, two-dimensional instead of 3D like we just did, is that one. So the endpoint is here. So we have 7 plus x all over 2 is a negative 2. So that'll give us our x point. And negative 4 plus y over 2 will give us a negative 12. Again, we're taking this x, y point, we're making that up, and we're saying let's average these two and get negative 2, and average these two to get negative 12. So 7 plus x equals a negative 4, so x has to be a negative 11. Looks like we're going to be right there. And then negative 4 plus y equals a negative 24. And then add 4, and yet y equals negative 20. Number 19 is A. Good. Number 20, the slope between, oh, look at this, a similar question, but this time with slope. The slope between 8, 5, and 2y is negative 3/8. So if we take y minus 5, slope formula is y minus y over x minus x, 2 minus 8, we get, this has to equal a negative 3/8. So let me see, we got y minus 5 over 2 minus 8 is a negative 6 equals negative 3/8. Oops, not negative 38, negative 3/8. So times by a negative 6, and we get, let me see, if we times by a negative 6 up here, negatives cancel, and we get 18/8, which is, let me see, y minus 5 equals 18 over 8, that's the same as 9 over 4. So add 5 and add 5. And we get, let me see, that's 29/4, so like 7.25. Answer to 20 is D. Good. What is the equation of a circle centered at 3, 7 and diameter 14? So if it has a center AB, and radius r, the formula is x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared. And this is just the Pythagorean theorem. If you center it at AB and you have a random point xy, and between those 2 points there's a distance of r, then you just made a Pythagorean theorem. X minus a is up here, and y minus b is right here. So x minus a squared plus y minus b squared has to equal r squared, Pythagorean theorem. And we have an equation of a circle. So notice it's going to be x minus 3 squared. Let's write it out here. Plus y minus 7 squared equals 196, 14 squared. Oh, whoa. I totally missed the word diameter. That means radius is 7. So that means with a r is 7, that's a 49 over here. Yes. Y minus 7 equals 49. It's the top answer right there. 21 is A. Okay, 22. On the graph of y equals x squared, which pair of points on the parabola have a slope of 3? So this, we're pair of points having a slope. So this is an algebra 1 thing where we're doing y minus y over x minus x. So let's go through them. 25 minus a minus 4 over 5 minus 2. So 25 plus 4, that's 29 thirds. That's not a slope of 3. Okay, so 4, 16, and 1, negative 1. That isn't on the graph. You don't stick in 1 there and get negative 1 there. So I'm not even going to try him. Same thing here. If you stick in negative 30, x squared, that's 900. So that guy's not even on the graph. So y equals x squared, y equals x squared. Let's try that one. 81 minus 36 over 9 minus 6. So 81 minus 36 is 45 over 3. That's a slope of 15. Not that guy. All right. 225 minus 144 over 15 minus a minus 12. 15 minus a minus 12. Okay, so that is, let me see, 81 over 27. Hey, that's our baby. Does it really y equals x squared? Y equals x squared. E is our 1, number 22. Okay, number 23. Find the volume of a rectangular pyramid. So this has, we got a point up here, and it's going like that. And so we have the area of the base width of 3 and 4. So that's a 12 here. And if you remember what it is, you times this by the height, but because it's a three-dimensional object, so it's converging to a point, the volume is 1/3 area of the base times the height. So in this case, 1/3 times 12 times 7. So that's 28. 1/3 times 12 is 4 times 7. Number 24. Find the coordinate equation of the circle centered at, it's just like number 21. X minus 4 squared plus y minus a minus 2 squared equals radius is 6, so radius squared. So we've got to have x minus 4 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 36. And you'll notice, yeah, if you don't have that 6 squared, these two are wrong because of that. And then that guy has the wrong minus sign and minus sign. So it's really, they're checking to see if you're y minus that, which is a plus sign, and then squaring the 6 for sure. So the answer to 24 is E. Number 25, what is the equation of a sphere? Notice we're now in 3 dimensions, so we're going to have x minus this guy. So yeah, x minus 5 squared plus y minus minus 2 squared plus z minus minus 1 squared equals diameter of 14. That's radius of 7 equals 7 squared. And yeah, that's the three-dimensional a squared plus b squared plus c squared equals d squared. So that'll be a plus. That'll be a plus. And we get x minus 5 squared. Let me see. We got to look. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Let's look at the 49s. X minus 5. So that guy's wrong. X minus 5, y plus 2, z plus 1 equals 49. Looks like that's our baby. Notice how that guy and that guy got the things wrong. You take y minus the y coordinate, z minus the z coordinate. Good. Number 26. What is the equation of the line perpendicular to this? So we don't want that slope. We want a perpendicular. So let's go ahead and stick that guy in. Let me see. If you get y by itself, you're at 3y equals negative 5x plus 6 divided by 3, divided by 3, divided by 3. And so there's the slope, y equals mx plus b. So this slope is negative 5/3. However, we don't want that slope. We want perpendicular. So that is the slope. We want a positive 3/5. So that's y minus 1 equals 3/5 x minus a negative 7.5. Now, you could go down through here. 3/5 is 0.6. So that guy's wrong, that guy's wrong, that guy is wrong. So we already know it's down to there. Oh, it had it in this form. Wow, that's pretty cool. So let's jump that through. So we have y minus 1 equals 3/5 x, or 0.6x, and we take 3/5 times 7.5. 0.6 times 0.75 turns out to be 4.5. Let's just double check that really quick. 3 divided by 5 times 7.5. Yeah, 4.5 right there. So with a 4.5 there, 4.5 is the right one. D is the answer for number 26. Okay, number 27. Ooh, these always scare me a little bit because I'm not sure I'm going to graph it right. The vertices of the quadrilateral are, okay, let's see what we can get here. -6, -6. So clear down there. Oh boy, I think I need to -6, -6. Okay, then B is 8, 6, so about right there. C is 16, 5. Oh my goodness, so probably like there, but just a hair lower than that. And then 12, -2. Well, that doesn't look good at all. So first of all, let's look at this. Just by looking at it, these distances don't look the same at all, but let's just double check. Let's go this distance right here. Let's draw that line. That is, let me see, from -6 up to 8 is 14, and from -6 to 6 is a 12. So let's go from here to here and let's see if that's at all resembles that. So from 12 to 16 is 4, and 5 to -2 is 7. No, that's a 7 to 6 ratio. So those sides aren't even parallel. So this is not a parallelogram, can't be a square, can't be a rectangle. You don't have opposite sides the same. So a rhombus would have to have these two sides the same distance. And so it's not a rhombus either. It's only that, yeah, it looks like a kite. Huh. Alrighty then. Okay, so 27 is C. Okay, the number of diagonals in a convex polygon with 865. So again, let's draw something with, I don't know, 865 sides there. Now diagonals again, take one vertex and you can draw diagonals to every other thing except this vertex itself and the one right next to it. So you have n minus 3 at this point. So 862 diagonals from this vertex. And if you do that from every single vertex, you get 865 times 862, or n times n minus 3. And if you've done that, you have actually doubled every diagonal. So if we went from this point to this point and we came around to that point, we drew it like that and then around to all the other guys. And then when we did it again from this guy down here, it came up there and it went there and it went all to the other guys. So we've drawn 2 of them, one from each vertex to the other guys. So divide that by 2. 865 times 862 divided by 2. Let's punch that in. 865 times 862 and divide that guy by 2. Enter. 372,815 right there. Excellent. Number 29, a sphere has a radius of 4 and fits just inside a cube. So we have a cube here looking like about that, and we have this ball in the middle of it that touches right here and here and here and there, and has a radius of 4, which means that the side length of the cube is 8. So the volume inside the cube, so the volume is length times width times height, which is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. No, 8 times 8 times 8. Which is 8 times 8 times 8, which is 512. The volume of the sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. which is 4/3 times pi times 4 cubed. Punch that in the calculator, and we get 4 divided by 3 times pi times the radius cubed. And we end up with 268.02. If we subtract that from 512, subtract that right there, second answer, we get 243.9. Good. So the volume would fill out that whole thing. There's the volume of the sphere, and subtract them, and you get the stuff on the outside of the sphere inside the cube. Number 30. Find the total surface area in square inches of a cylinder whose base has a diameter of 5, which is a radius of 2.5. Watch for that. So radius is 2.5 and a height of 5. So the volume, nope, not volume, we want the surface area. So the surface area is 2 pi RH. So that's the circumference times through the height. That gives you the outside lateral surface area plus the pi r squared on the top and the bottom. So 2 of those. So this equals 2 times pi times 2.5 times 5 plus 2 times pi times 2.5 squared, which is not 5. Punch that all in the calculator. 2 times pi times 2.5 times 5 plus 2 times pi times 2.5 squared, and we get 117.8. B. Number 31. A cone with a radius of 10 is similar to a cone with a radius of 4. So we have a cone right here with a radius of 10, and we have a cone, a smaller one, with a radius of 4. So this has a height of 5. So 4 is to 5 as 5 is to, let me see, what would the height be? 10 divided by 4 is 2.5, so times 5 by 2.5, and you get 12.5. So that's the height of the other cone. Okay, that's good. Determine the volume of the larger and the smaller cones. So volume is going to be 1/3 pi r squared h. So on both of these. So volume equals, let me see, on this one, we'll do them in 2 different colors. So this one, volume equals 1/3 pi times r squared, that's 100, times 12.5. Let me see if we can do that. 100 times 12.5 divided by 3. Let me see. That's 1250 divided by 3 is 416 pi. Roughly 416 or 417 pi. Let's do 417 pi. That's looks like, well, oh yes, be 416.666. Okay, 417 pi. And then the smaller one, well, looks like we're done, but let's go ahead and give it a try. The smaller one, which we could have just figured out, that's kind of funny. We could have just done the smaller one from the beginning. Volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. Now again, this 1/3 is just like a pyramid. It's a circular pyramid, the area of the base times the height. That was a good note. So 1/3 times pi times radius squared, which is 16, times height, which is 5. 16 times 5 is 80. 80 divided by 3 is 26.66, so 27 pi. So we could have just done that one from the beginning, and that's the only one that has the smaller one. And it said round to the nearest whole number. I think it meant round to the nearest whole number times pi, because that's what we have there. Okay, number 32. If we look at 2 secants intersect outside of a circle, so it is like this, and it says the angles of the intercepted arcs are 88 and 18. What is the angle between the 2 secants? We'll call it alpha. Now, I'm going to draw this. We haven't done a lot of review on these, so if you've been following these at all, when you do this right here, this angle and that angle are the same. If you call this arc A and B, that is A plus B over 2. The average of those 2 angles, the arcs, the average of the 2 arcs is the angle. That's interesting. It's kind of like alpha wants to be B, alpha wants to be A, and so by golly, they average to it. Now, closely related to this is if you have something that intersects right on the circle, called an inscribed angle, and we call this A over here, and that alpha. Notice it's A and 0 that are divided by 2. So yes, alpha equals A over 2. You just divide that in half. You basically have 360 degrees in a circle, and if this were a straight line to encompass the whole circle, it'd be 180. So that makes good sense. If they're outside of the circle, like what we have here, A and a B, it's basically like you've just stretched this guy to the center and then kept going so that this arc it acts kind of like a negative arc. A got smaller and smaller, and then you pulled it, so it is actually A minus B over 2. So in this case, the angle alpha is going to be 88 minus 18 all over 2, which is 70 over 2, which is 35 degrees. So D, 32 is D. Here we are, number 33. A point on the graph y equals x cubed is this. I'm going to believe them. You could punch that in. We're looking at the slope, which means we're taking the derivative. So that is, it's not between 2 points, it's instantaneous. If we take y primed, that comes down equals 3x squared. So we take the x value and we stick it in to get the slope. So y primed is going to be 3 times 7.6 squared. Let's punch that in. 3 times 7.6 squared, and we get 173.28. Wow, at that point on the graph, that is a steep line. Number 34, evaluate at x equals 3. That's important. The first derivative, so we're going to take the first derivative equals 3 is going to come down here, and we get negative 4569 x squared, and that guy jumps down there, plus 876x minus 76. Notice there's a 1 right there that comes down in front. And then that's an x to the 0, which means goes away in the derivative. So now we're going to stick in 3 here to find the slope. Exactly what we did on number 33. So we get negative 4569 times 3 squared plus 876 times 3 minus 76. Let's see what pops out here. Negative 4569 times 9. We're going to add 876 times 3 and then minus 76. Enter. We get negative 38,569. Booyah, right there. 34 is B. And finally, number 35, find the equation of the line passing through this point. So it's got to fit that point. You could actually start sticking in a bunch of that point here. You'll see negative 1, 2 doesn't work in that guy, so that doesn't work. Negative 1, that's negative 3 plus 3 doesn't work on that one. Negative 1, 2 does work on that one. Negative 1, 2 doesn't work on that one. So we're actually down to those two. So we got to find the slope. Well, the slope of this line right here is y minus y over x minus x. Oh, did I do that backwards? Yep, I did that backwards on the bottom. So that's negative 8 minus a minus 7. So that is 1 over negative 1. Yeah, so there we go. The slope of that is 1. We don't want that slope. We want the perpendicular slope. So if we change that to perpendicular, then we get slope is a positive 1 over 1. So that means it's got to be equal. 1 equals 1x plus some number. And yeah, oh, we should do that officially. Y minus the y value, 2 equals 1, x minus the x value. So we get y minus 2 equals, jump that in, and we get x plus 1. Add 2 to both sides. We get y equals x plus a 3. And there we go, D. And you could tell once we got the slope of 1, that guy was out. So good.